Hello students, we are here to discuss with one of the important topics of basic biology, that is cell. Now all living organisms, be it small or large, be it simple or complex, be it primitive or advanced, all are made up of cells. Now we often compare living organism with the walls of a building that you get to see on the road. Yes, exactly. These are the bricks that you can see here. Now there are several bricks if you observe carefully, and these several bricks, they are making up the structure of the wall of a building. So that means here the bricks are the structural and functional unit of this wall of a building. Similarly, in case of living organisms, you will get to see several cells here. And these cells are making up, or rather they're making up the building blocks of living organisms. So that means cells are the structural and functional unit of life. Now coming to the discovery of cell. Robert Hooke, he was the famous scientist who discovered cell in 1665. He was very much curious about the microscopic world of the living organisms. And he wanted to know the detailed structure of all these living organisms. For that, he improvised the existing compound microscope in 1665, and he chose the dead cell wall of plant cell, that is cork. And he made thin slices of these cork cells and placed it under the microscope. And he observed a very interesting thing. He observed some tiny pores which resembled somewhat like honeycomb-like structure. And this reminded him of the rooms, the cells of a monastery, and the bare wall of the rooms where the monks lived. And later on, it was termed as cells. Now, all these experiences he had written in his famous book known as Micrographia. Now, after his work, another famous scientist, Anton von Leeuwenhoek, he followed up his work and he improvised the microscope once again. And in 1664, he observed a living cell. Yes, a living cell. Robert Hooke was the first one to discover a cell, but it was a dead one. And Anton von Leeuwenhoek was the first person to discover a cell, but it was a living one. Fine. Now, after that, after his findings, several scientists have worked and studied on plant and animal materials and observed similar structures or cells, as you can see here, the major events in cell biology and imaging. In 1831, a scientist known as Robert Brown, he observed 1831, he observed a dense spherical mass in a cell, and later on it was termed as nucleus. Again in 1839, another famous scientist, Perkinzie, he observed a jelly-like living component, a living substance, which was termed as protoplasm. In the meantime, a famous scientist known as Schleiden, he saw that almost all plant cells, they have got similar structures. And after a year, another scientist whose name is scientist Schwann, he observed that an animal cell is lacking a cell wall. This is the only characteristics which is differing from other characteristics. Otherwise, the rest of the characteristics are all similar. So both of them in 1839, they compared their findings and they postulated a cell theory. Okay, now Sladen and Schwann, so in 1839, they proposed a cell theory where it was postulated, it was stated that the cell is the fundamental unit of structure and function in all living organisms. All living organisms are made up of one or more cells, and cells arise from other cells through cell division. This was the theory that was put forward by both Schleiden and Schwann. Afterwards, this cell theory was improvised by Rudolf Virchow, and he said that yes, in addition to this, all cells arise from pre-existing cells only. Yes, all cells arise from pre-existing cells only. So this was all about the cell theory. Now, let's come to the organization of life. Yes, I have already told you in the introductory part that the smallest unit of any living organism is cell. Now, aggregation of cells make up tissue. And when this group of cells, after making tissue, these tissues, they work together to perform a specific function, which is the organ. Now, group of organs, they perform together and they perform a specific task or specific function, and they make up a system, an organ system. And several organ systems, they are working together and make up an organism. This is all about the organization of life. Now let's come to the shape and size of cells. Now, cells, basically, they vary in shape and size. They are generally microscopic, but some can be macroscopic as well. Now, if you consider the size of cell in humans, the smallest cell that you get to see here is the sperm cell. In case of humans, it is about 5 micrometer. And the largest cell is the ovum cell, which is about 120 micrometer. And the longest cell is the nerve cell, which is around 1 meter. Now, if you talk in general, then the smallest cell is the mycoplasma. It is the bacteria. Now, it is about 0.1 micron. And the largest cell is the ostrich egg. So this is all about today's class. We will get back, we will continue with the same topic in the next class. Till then, thank you.